to Talks with Tracy with certified hypnotherapist, life coach, and licensed mental health professional, Tracy Claremont. Tracy will share her healing journey and explore the many meaningful alternative healing methods in our world today that will support you in doing your own deepest emotional healing. So please welcome the host of Talks with Tracy, Tracy Claremont. Let the suffering end and the healing begin.
Hello and welcome to Talks with Tracy. I'm your host, Tracy Claremont, coming to you on the Bold Brave Television Network. Thank you so much for being here today. And as always, thank you to Bold Brave Television Network for having me. Without Bold Brave Television, I would not have the first clue about how to do a podcast. So I'm always wanting to lead with gratitude and thank them for this beautiful opportunity. So lately, I've been really trying to get a feel for the male perspective in healing. You know, I've had so many beautiful women on the show sharing their healing journey from the perspective of, sharing their story of suffering to the healing. And I have shared my own story, and I continue to share my own story as we go along. But of course, I'm the first to admit that I obviously view things from the female perspective. So, in thinking about this, I decided to start by sharing my husband's story, which I shared a couple weeks ago on Talks with Tracy number 14. And in doing so, I talked about a thing that I call I'm a piece of shit syndrome, which is, my husband is not a piece of shit. He's a beautiful man, but really for the majority of his life, he had this core belief that he was a piece of shit, nothingness, that he didn't matter, that he was unworthy. And I used his life as a demonstration of how things happen when you move through life with that energy and that core belief of unworthiness and the chaos and the suffering it creates. And thankfully, my husband has also done healing around that. He's actively doing the healing. So I wanted to use him as a demonstration of what it looks like. So that's kind of where I started with all of this. And I really appreciated him letting me share his story. So, I just really wanted people to know that this can be changed. It doesn't have to be that way. You can go within and you can fearlessly explore your emotional experience and draw awareness to your feelings and validate your feelings, express, release, change those words you use in your mind when you talk to yourself. Develop a better picture in your imagination of who you are and what your life holds, right? All for the purpose of healing and creating change and developing a new narrative to move through the world with, changing those core beliefs from unworthiness to worthiness, unlovable to lovable, from undeserving to deserving, that it's all available to you. And I just want to provide demonstrations of how people have done that, because it truly is, available to you. So I put it out to the universe that I wanted to hear from men about their experience, and the universe provided. I was getting my hair done by my dear friend, Jay McDonald, and I told her what I wanted to do, and she says, "Hey, I know an enlightened man in Arlie." And I'm like, "What? Really? Tell me." And Arlie is a town that's just a few miles up from where I live. And she said, yeah, he has a Facebook that he does the most incredible posts on, and they're posts about healing and health and wellness. And so I friend requested him, and then I started messaging him, and we had a conversation. And I'm so happy to say that my guest today is Cody Weaving, and he is indeed an enlightened man who in fact does amazing Facebook posts. And he really puts out an energy of acceptance and positivity and wellness, and I love that. That's what the world needs, right? And he's committed to breaking intergenerational curses, and he's committed to living a life of love and authenticity, living in that highest vibration of healing, that energetic frequency of healing. And he's expressed to me that it's taken some work, that he had to really work on shedding his own limiting beliefs and his own core beliefs that came from his own experiences and drove him emotionally through his lifetime, and that caused chaos and suffering. He had to shed all of that to get down to his authentic self. And he's here today to tell his story. And I'm so very thankful that he's willing to Cody weaving. Hi,
Grand
Cody.
Rising, Tracy, how are you doing today?
I am doing so well. Thank you so much for joining me. It's great to have you. I'm so excited to hear your story and so thankful for your willingness to share.
Thank you. I
So,
really appreciate you. The time is great. I think what you're doing is
oh, uh-oh, looks like it froze a little. Are you there? Uh-oh, looks like we froze up there a little bit. So we'll just work on getting him back on there. And yeah, I just think it's so important to share this story, this message of healing from the male perspective. And again, I really enjoyed sharing my husband's story the other day. He had a difficult experience with life, and those core beliefs, it created so much chaos for him and so much adversity, and it really came from his childhood. And I know, oh, there he is, that Cody has a similar experience. Can you hear me, Cody?
I can. We had some type of technical difficulty somewhere. I'm not sure where it
Oh,
was at, but
oh,
Always
okay.
some type of thing with the internet.
yeah.
So
Well, thank you for returning. I was just again preferencing our talk today, what we're going to talk about. For I'd love to start by asking your thoughts about what it's like for men in the world to, in dealing with emotional experience. What does that feel like for men?
I think we've been kind of in a way schooled, indoctrinated, colonized to where it puts these limiting beliefs in us, and it helps us to
Mm,
not break free from those. So we kind of, in our own way, we have to find ourselves and we have to shed the skin over and over
mm,
to really find who we truly are on the inside of us, and know our spirit instead of know whatever everyone else has placed on us or around us. So it's kind of it's a learning experience, all of it. I don't think it ever ends. I think it's always transforming,
mm.
evolving if you choose it. But if you don't choose it, then you're going to be
Right.
stuck in the same repeating patterns.
Right, the same repeating patterns. And um, is it true? I would assume, and I hate making assumptions, but then I make assumptions that it's more difficult for a man to do what just exactly what you said, because men aren't necessarily supported in really going into their emotional experience. They're conditioned in a different way.
I think for sure. I think the males, we have this toxic masculinity that we've kind of been shown how
Mm,
to act, how to be, and how to feel, and maybe not what to express and not to show our emotions and hide them and tuck them in. And in all reality, we're supposed to do the opposite of that. We're supposed to actually be the protectors
mm,
of our inner child and ourselves and express how we feel so we can kind of heal these and detach from them, let them go. Or we're stuck in the same repeating hurtness and the pain.
right. And I was thinking about, emotion in men in our society, and really the primary emotion that men are allowed to kind of allowed to show is like anger and aggression, right?
Totally. That's part of that toxic masculinity. I think we're taught
Mm,
to be strong and to be ego, like run with the ego instead of open the heart and kind of let that heart be kind and gentle to ourselves first and foremost, so we can be that for others. We're not ever showed that. We're shown how to drink and how to smoke and hang out with of course, the people that are the black sheep and the outcasts, which of course it attracts. I think we attract that because we're on the same level. A lot of people growing up, it's especially males. We want to be kind of we're taught to be different. We're taught to be, and not necessarily in a good way. I think it's more or less
mm.
in a hurtful way to ourselves.
Right, absolutely. And any showing of genuine emotion is often seen as a
Weakness.
weakness.
Totally.
Right.
Totally. I think that
Yeah.
It's hard for men to really express that because they feel like we're going to get judged. But I think when we
Mm.
let the ego kind of go and we breathe it through and we become gentle within the spirit and we have that open heart, it allows us to be more pure and just kind of let things flow and not trying to control them or make them happen. So we have these masks on, we have these skins that we have to release, detach from, and let go of this weight. It's heavy. And us as males, we've been taught to carry that load and not express about it. Don't talk about it. Just keep it inside. So of course it bottles up, and then we lose our anger, we kind of frustration, or we go. Of course, that leads to addictions, and alcohol. I mean, this is all types of different addictions that come with that. But I think we're not taught to really go inwards. We're taught in this world to go outside of
Mhm.
this. So we're constantly looking out here for something to fix us, but it's really inside of us. All
Mhm.
of it is. We all have the recipe and we all have the instructions to change, but we have to go inwards.
Right. We have to be willing to go into that emotional experience, which is exactly why I'm so thankful that you are here today to kind of be a demonstration to other people, both male and female, of what it looks like to go into that experience. Because, you are so wonderfully articulate and you describe it in such a beautiful way. But really, this is super messy, right?
It hurts. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not just light and love what they teach you. And I think that's where we kind of confuse this whole healing process of it's not
Mm.
always going to be good. There's a lot of these downs more than it feels ups, or it's definitely like a fine balance. So we have to be very like I keep coming back to the word gentle, but I think
Hmm.
males to remember that to be good protectors and someone that's spreads life and hope into people, we have to know that comes from our heart, and we have to be gentle with that, to understand that and feel that, and to release and detach from the emotions that we held on to, and any of these limiting beliefs that are kind of stuck
Right.
inside of.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I always use the word fearlessness, right? You need to be fearless to go into these places because these are our most tender, most vulnerable spaces, right? And they don't feel good to go into. It's dark and sludgy and messy. But
It's
if we're willing to do that, then on the other side, there really is peace and fulfillment and um, joy, and not life without challenge, because life is always going to have challenge, but we are better equipped once we do this work and develop a love for ourselves. We're better equipped to manage the challenges that come with life, right?
totally. I have a term as we call that jumping into the unknown, and become
Mm.
go into the uncomfortable to become comfortable.
Ah.
So it takes so much like vulnerability. You have to be willing to put yourself out there to heal, and people don't understand that. Like we're not able to heal unless we're able to let others feel and speak about it and communicate about it and express that.
Mhm.
'Cause if we don't ever let it
Exactly.
out, yeah, we don't communicate about it. It's never going to be released. It's never going to be healed. It's still going to be in there, and it
Mhm.
constantly is a repeating pattern that keeps coming back up.
Right, right. Because if we don't do the work, it's not going to change. It's just going to keep repeating itself. And we come to this lifetime, is my belief, my knowing, that we come to this lifetime with lessons that we're here to learn, right? And those lessons often come in very difficult ways. And I just want to say also that this whole process, it really requires some honesty, some real honest looking at ourselves and what's happening in our lives, right? A lot of times we just kind of want to breeze over things, and it's like I certainly made lots of excuses, and I rationalized things, and I painted a picture of my life going well when it was a mess and I was unhappy. So it takes a lot of honesty as well, right?
I think we're so used to pointing the fingers at everyone else, but then not
Mm.
ourselves, to not really hold ourselves accountable and really know, man, my life is happening exactly how I'm manifesting it. It's the way that I'm working it. It's what I'm doing. So if I don't change, if there's no difference here made, it's going to have the same things happening over and over again.
Mhm.
So it's like I have to make
Right.
a change, and That's usually the part which is super hard for people to comprehend, is the whole part
Mm-hmm.
where you have to quit doing the same things over and over. You gotta, if you're drinking, you gotta quit the drinking, the alcohol, I mean, drugs, all these things are kind of part of the addiction. So
Right, right. And I love how you point your fingers inward, right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
have to
it all
point your
comes in
fingers
here.
inward.
It's all here.
Uh-huh.
That's the biggest thing to
Yeah.
remember for me, is holding myself accountable and kind of being like, man, my life was so hard for half of my life because of me. It was no one
Mm-hmm.
else out there. I could blame everyone else, but it was me, and I take that responsibility. And I'm here for us males to kind of represent and lead by example with an open heart. And I want to express these emotions and feelings to where it reaches people, and they know that they have the power in them to do the same.
Yes, it's all available to them if they do that, turn it inward and do the work. I love that. So we are going to take a brief commercial break, Cody, and when we come back, I'd love for you to share your story, your childhood, your young adulthood, and how all of this kind of played itself out for you personally. Again, all in the interest of being a beautiful demonstration of what it looks like to do the work and what it feels like to be on the other side. So we will be taking a brief commercial break. You're watching Talks with Tracy on Bold Brave Television Network. I'll see you in a couple minutes.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to Talks with Tracy with me, Tracy Claremont. I am here today with Cody Weaving, who is going to share his story about his own emotional healing. And in the last segment, Cody, we were talking about, the male experience in our society that really doesn't support men in even having emotional experiences, let alone going deep inside and doing the healing. And I would just really love for you to share your own experience in that, and if you could share about your childhood and your young adulthood and how all of this has played itself out for you, I would love that.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds great. I grew up in all throughout Montana. I'm an enrolled tribal member from Chippewa Cree tribe. I grew up in Flathead Reservation a lot of my life, and I have 5 younger siblings. I'm always been the oldest, so I'm always constantly there for them as a father figure, And I think for a lot of us males, we don't really, even if we do have a father, it's hard to really know when they're there, when they're supporting us. I mean, because the emotional breakage it runs deep in these generations that we're not used to getting these emotional talks and feelings through the male standard. So it's a change that I'm trying to make through myself so I can have others do the same. And I think having these younger brothers and sisters growing up with him. And my mom, she was a really hardworking woman. She was a great mom. But I had of course, some stepdads and things that weren't always supportive of me. And I think it was kind of uncomfortable and awkward. And there wasn't felt like it was maybe some type of breakage there. There wasn't a really connection. So I want people to feel that we can be the change, not only for ourselves, but these children. I think growing up, especially in the reservations and seeing the poverty level and not having the connected family, and the alcoholism and the drugs, I think it dwindles our spirits and it makes us kind of weaker, especially as men. And then we go to the ego. So we move from the heart to the ego. We lose that inner child in us. And then we go and we start using this aggressive behavior and there's a kind of, in a way, just distraught feelings that kind of break our spirit down even more. So we get to a point to where we don't know what healing is. We cover it up with addictions. I remember at a younger age, 16, 17, trying to figure out what was wrong. Why is my life so hard? But of course I was drinking every day and I was around people that were constantly doing the same thing as me. And we thought that was hip. That was the way to be. But really, we were never able to really find ourselves. I think it went halfway through my life till I was in my mid 30s before I was like, I am tired of this. I think you said like the piece of shit syndrome is what you called it. But I think for me, it's like that inner critic, or that inner child that's in there, that's screaming for change, that wants something better for itself, that wants the healing, that is keeping the lessons that are repeating. And I'm not taking advantage of these, trying to learn the tests that are being given and trying to follow through with it being the change.
Right. And so in your childhood, you had experiences that contributed to a negative core belief about yourself. Is that
I think
your
a lot of
experience?
us have. I do. I think that, of course, I said I always had a wonderful mom, but I didn't really have a father figure. And I think there's a lot of us out there, even if you do have that figure, I don't know if they're constantly there to support you or if it just feels like there's no emotional connection there, because we're not very good at expressing our words. Us males, we're kind of just getting down there to the nitty gritty now and digging through this darkness and this hurt and this pain, this generational curses, and trying to bring some light into it and trying to really grow and plant these seeds, and water them. And I think for us males, we weren't taught how to express those. We're taught how to bottle them up and kind of keep them hidden, from not only ourselves, but everyone else. Like we'd put on this happy face or this, like everything's perfect, but it's not, it wasn't. Like I remember if I would have just been able to kind of speak for myself and hold myself accountable back then, but things would change. But I think we learn from all of those, from all of the mistakes that happen or whatever they were, the situations. I think we grow from those if we're allowing ourselves to see the transformation in there. So I think every little situation we learn from.
Right. And again, we develop our opinions, our beliefs about ourselves from those experiences. And when we have an experience like you're talking about, where you didn't have a consistent father figure, I don't know if there were moments of any kind of maltreatment. A lot of times when you have numerous father figures kind of in and out of the house, there's maltreatment that happens that really contributes to that um, not enoughness, not good enough sense of self as well, and contributes to the emotions that then drive you forward. That big negative emotion, right?
Yeah, I really truly believe it had a lot to do with me wanting to become a rebel, to become this outcast, this black sheep, was feeling alone and feeling maybe insecure with myself, and the confidence wasn't there. I didn't know what that was. I was taught only to show aggression and show my ego and why are you looking at me? And this, like this exchange of energy mirroring each other. So instead of allowing people to feel and work their own energy, I was mirroring that energy. So it's this constant lower energy exchange that we have. I think us males are really good at that.
Right, absolutely. And that kind of energy creates chaos and problems in your life, right? Especially when you add substances to it.
Oh, more than you could imagine. I mean, I thought I would have learned a million different times, but I guess I was so stubborn in my way. I could blame it on everything, being a redhead or being, being a tribal member, whatever you want to say. I think being from a broken family, being light skinned. I mean, there's so many things I could blame that on, but we can all have those excuses. I think that the most important thing we learn from this is that it's all inside of us, and it has nothing to do with all of these different things we throw on top of us. Like, we make it out way more difficult than it needs to be. But for a lot of us, the system kind of throws us in this pivotal cycle of just destruction. And I feel like we're constantly breaking ourselves until we learn to evolve from that, or it's just going to be the hurt and the pain forever. And that's what it was for me.
Right. The hurt and the pain. Can you describe a little bit about that? You said that you kind of took on this rebel persona. Is that
I
right?
totally did. I mean, I remember fifth, sixth grade, it started pretty hard. I think just having the different stepdads in my life, and not really feeling the attachment or some type of growth from them, any type of nurturing was going on. I think it was me going out and mirroring what I was feeling. So it was constantly trying to feel, this hurt and this pain I was putting out there. I remember being expelled from almost every school, and I didn't have a lot of friends. And the friends I did have, we were all rebels, and we weren't, I'm not going to say we're bad people. We were just not doing things right. We were just maybe taught or not taught how to do things or how to act and respond. And I think, of course, chasing that with the alcohol and the drugs and the lustful sex, it was just spreading myself thin. I think for a lot of us, spread ourselves thin. And I think and then as soon as we start doing that, our energy starts to dissipate. We start to lose that spiritual connection within ourselves. So it's a really, I think I relived that nightmare throughout so many situations. I was stabbed in comas before. I mean, I was all types of, I had, all types of spinal meningitis, went blind. I've had my thumbs, bit off, and I've been through some really massive things that you think, man, I should have woke up then, but I still was so stubborn in my old ways that I was just fighting to be that same old person. So it was like I had to lose almost everything and everyone before I realized this isn't working. So I think a lot of us, we go through that.
Wow. So yeah, when I say chaos and suffering, you're talking about stabbings and comas and like incredible things that still, even with that degree, still didn't bring you to a place where you're like, whoa, Cody, something has to change. It actually came at a different place even farther down the road for you. Is that what you're saying?
It was. I mean, these went on until I was in my mid 30s, like I said, and I just remember I would almost use those as I felt like more power to act worse. It was almost like feeding me to be like, oh, I could live through everything. I can. So I was constantly diving into these really negative situations and feeding off them, and then I'd do it again the next day and again the next day, and before you know it, I was losing that in touch, that spiritual connection with myself. I remember it got to a point.
Oh, looks like we froze up again. Oh, looks like we dropped the call again. So sorry for that. I think they'll jump right back on if we just give it a moment. Super interesting that Cody's telling this story of like major things that have happened in his life with this rebel energy that was coming from, this core belief about himself and these hurt, injured inner child feelings that are driving him forward in his lifetime. Super interesting, and so much to talk about. So continue on, Cody. I was just kind of repeating what you said so we could wait for you to jump back on.
Sorry about that. Connection keeps kind of freezing on us. Maybe some type of higher energies are just kind of taking control of this internet. So I want to thank you guys for just kind of dealing with that. I think life is a learning experience. And I think for most of us, we have to put ourselves in hell to find the heaven. I think it's all about, I'm not saying all of us, we all have different ways of learning, but I'm saying for me personally, it was this hurtful experience to where it was like I was killing my inside and the outside, and it was like I was burning and I couldn't find relief in it. And I was just like, So I'd go out and destruct myself more. I'd find more destruction behavior with all types of situations and people. I used to like to hang out with the worst of the worst and think, oh, I'm like that too. And I always knew I had a good heart, but I knew that for
Oh,
me, there is some type of stigmatism to have that. I thought that was the warrior, but the true warrior is the one that protects and nurtures and helps and is there to kind of express and show love and respect to each other and be humble. Be humble. That was a big thing for me too. I remember I used to be narcissistic. I felt like there, and I still feel those traits.
mm,
When I'm like, man, that hurts. Like it stings to be so loud and like, and the word proud to me is it's kind of like it was sketchy because I think that was just like, hey, my name is Cody. Like I was just like thought I was just like the man or whatever. And I feel like now it's helped me to kind of pull myself back in and to kind of be okay with myself, to know what I used to be and to what I'm transforming into, what I'm renewing and recreating myself to become.
beautiful, renewing and recreating. That's what I mean when I say writing a new narrative, right? This is who I used to be. This is what I used to. This is how I used to be. I wouldn't say who I used to be because it's a false belief. It's a false persona. And this is who I am now. This is how I am now. This is who I truly am. So rewriting the narrative and recreating, I love that. And that's so true. And just like you're saying, um, it's so interesting to me that experience where you're saying with that there were stabbings and comas and things that wasn't your low, that you continued on in that energy and a low came down the road. It's so fascinating to me how how much self-sabotaging we will do before we get to that point where we're like, whoa, enough is enough, right?
Totally. And I think us as men, we're always like, think the warrior is the one that goes out and fights and like, you know,
Mm,
acts tough and has these big balls and look at me, I'm such a good character. But I think that what we're not taught as males is that we carry a balance of energies. We have these chakras that are in line with us. And part of this balance is having a balance of the feminine and a balance of the masculine and being able to work those together and combine those. So you're actually a full balance of energy. So you can speak
right.
and communicate with everyone and they could comprehend what you're saying without having this ego in the way. You could work with
Yes.
your heart.
Yes. Well,
So
thank
that
you for that. In our next segment, I'd love to hear more about that healing part. Like I'd love to hear like where that point was where you did say a change needs to happen, and then how you put it all into motion. But first, we need to take another commercial break. So you're watching Talks with Tracy. I have Cody Weaving on today, having a wonderful conversation. Please join us after the break. We'll see you in a couple minutes.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality? But it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating. Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to Talks with Tracy, with me, Tracy Claremont. I am here today with Cody Weaving, who has been doing such a beautiful, candid job of sharing his story and his life experience. You know, there's been, you've shared a lifetime of adversity and real struggles, yet, you know, you have such an uplifting energy about you today. And that in itself is so beautiful and inspiring to others, you know, and, I'd love to hear how you came to this point of this uplifting, beautiful energy, healing energy that you have. Like, what was the point that you came to where you really said, you know, I can't continue in these patterns, in these ways. I need to do something. And then how did you start the healing?
I think for me, it was kind of looking down the family, the generations, and watching my family, you know, younger cousins and aunties and uncles kind of pass away from a lot of the alcoholism, the drugs. A lot of us, I was seeing not, I mean, myself and them and me. And I'm like, we have to make a change here. Someone's got to be the one to stand up and say, this needs to end with me. I've got to do something. Even if I just lead by example and it's for me, at least people can see that they have that in them to do that as well. You know, and I think for a lot of us, we don't give ourselves the chance to kind of break these cycles. So it's a constant revolving door. So I think just for me, for seeing this throughout all my grandparents, you know, and all my uncles and aunts, I think for me, I want people to get life and feel hope and feel some type of new breath of air, you know, something in you that's in all of us. I mean, no one's above anyone here. We're all equal. Everyone has,
Absolutely.
yeah, and they carry this within them. So I just want to hopefully inspire others and be vulnerable enough to where people can express themselves and tell their story.
Right. So, am I correct in assuming that you came to a very low place where you either, I call it a crossroads, where you either have to choose to stay in the suffering or you choose to create the healing? Did you come
Did
to a place like that?
I did several times. I think the last one was, I think I lost a house, I lost a couple cars, I lost some trucks. These were all paid for. I've worked my whole life, and all of a sudden they were gone like that. And I think
Mm,
just watching how I threw everything away. I mean, all my friends, I think I just drank everybody away. I literally was just drinking my
mm,
sorrows away. And it got to a point to where I was hurt. I was broken. I couldn't do it anymore. I literally was like, I don't have it in me to ever hurt myself, but it was feeling like that. It was like, I'm tired of this.
mm,
Like, I just don't want to be here anymore. Like, whatever this is, I don't want to do this anymore. And I
mm,
remember taking baby steps and trying to work on my diet. And my diet was my foundation for the change. I think just going to the fruits, a high, you know, velocity of mixed fruits and vegetables. I'd use a lot of course, chickpeas and wild rice, sweet potatoes, and those were my main whole foods that I'd kind of make every day. And of course, smoothies, fruit smoothies every morning. I think that helped my change of thought. I believe it helped my spirit to come out of
mm,
that, to rise up. But I wouldn't have been able to do it, I don't believe, if I was still eating the McDonald's and the Burger King and the pizza and all this, you know, these really processed foods. I think that kind of breaks the spirit and allows you to feel these lower energies and not come out of them. So I think
mm. Yeah, and that actually makes sense too. I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, we talk about this masculine experience, and there's a lot of physicality with a masculine experience. So it kind of makes sense that you, as a man, would go to a physical cleansing or detox. You know,
totally.
working on the physical part of you as the first step to creating change, right? And you know, that moment that you talked about, that feeling that you had about, like, I don't want to go on like this. I've mentioned that in different shows, and I talk about it as an ambivalence about life, right? Where you're not actively suicidal, but you could kind of take it or leave it, right? If I stepped into the street and got hit by a bus, then so be it. That kind of ambivalence, because the pain is so much. Oh, darn it, we lost him again. So I will just talk about that. That's that ambivalence that comes with reaching that low point where, like I said, you don't have to be actively suicidal to really not care about living anymore. And that is a true definition of suffering, right? That is a low place, a very low energy, a very low frequency that a lot of people get to. And that is a true sign of a need to do emotional change. Cody, I was just talking about that ambivalence about life, and that frequently be in a very low place for people that actually is a crossroads for them. They can stay in the suffering or create the change. So I just kind of wanted to draw that out, because I think a lot of people get to that place, and it's um, something that people don't talk about a lot. They put on a different picture of they're okay. So,
I remember for the first year of even trying to detox and cleanse, I went through several fasts and detox from the parasites and cleanse from the heavy metals. And I started to feel different. I started to kind of be gentler with myself and comprehend why my life was the way it was. I was able to look inside of me instead of constantly out here looking for something to save me, and knowing that it was actually in here the whole time. But it took me about a full year of quitting alcohol and drugs before it even started to happen. It's not like it happened overnight. This was like a struggle for like a year. And then I remember after that year, I started taking parts in ceremonies from where I'm from, and we do a sundance, which is called it's kind of a healing ceremony, a renewing ceremony. So I was given a name there, and that name put some type of, it was a spirit name. And that spirit name was allowed me to become different. I allowed myself, not only for me, that name was actually given to me by the elders for others as well. So I can place that name in front of people, and they could have their healing if that's what they desire. But here's another thing is everyone has their own way. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. So I just want people to really comprehend that there's, as long as you're inside yourself and you're doing what you feel is right for you. I want people to do whatever they want to do. If you're into religions, do it. If you're into politics, I'm open to everybody being themselves. And that's the number one thing, is that freedom to be able to choose what's going to work for you.
absolutely, I totally agree. And that's something that I say regularly on this show. Whatever you're compelled towards, whatever you're moved towards, do, right? Whatever feels right for you. And, I kind of, I've had lots of different people who guide healing, and in lots of different ways. And it's for that purpose. There is no one way to do
No.
this. It's just important to start the process. And, I've even said that even if it starts with just having one good friend to express to start expressing, getting those emotions out, to start really being honest with yourself and processing and working through this, then go to one good friend and just ask them to listen. Anything to get it started, right?
Exactly. That's another thing too, is I remember being, I mean, no friends. I mean, everyone was kind of, I had to renew myself, and the energies were different. The vibrations were different from my old friends. I still love them. I just didn't have anything in common anymore. So I still cheer for them. I was cheering for everyone. It's just, I couldn't be around them. I had no, my energy was tired. I was just over the same conversations. So I remember even being abstinent for 6.5 years, even after this. So it's a lonely road. So I want people to know that if you're feeling alone, keep going. Like keep driving and diving into yourself, because that's where the healing is at. You have to be alone. You have to be in isolation to really find yourself. That almost brought tears in my eyes, just knowing how important that is. So I want
Oh,
people to really, really know how important it is to feel yourself and feel these emotions and sit with
mhm.
yourself, you know?
Right. And I would guess that you agree that even though you feel alone in this process, from a spiritual perspective, we're never alone, right?
Never, never.
We're always connected
We
to
are.
whatever, whoever our higher power is.
Mhm.
However you want to say it, we're always connected, and there's always somebody holding us in this very difficult, dark, kind of sludgy, messy work.
That's super important that you say that. I feel a lot of times we can't see that but I know we can feel that. We second guess that a lot, but it's definitely in there, the interconnection with the source energy or creator, whoever you want to manifest to. I believe it's in all of us because we're all connected, especially this Mother Earth, and these ley lines and the way we heal and feel. So to really just know that you are supported and you're loved, you're heard, and you're felt.
Mhm. Right, absolutely. You're always held, you're always connected. When you talk about all of that, falling into that use of alcohol and
Mhm.
all of that, a lot of times people fall into those things looking for connection and looking to not be alone, but really, it is aloneness. There's no genuine connection.
Are you there?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I thought it froze, maybe a little bit bad connection here. I feel like the biggest part of all this is just knowing that we have the recipe to really change and renew ourselves within ourselves. It doesn't ever come from anywhere out here. It doesn't come from some supernatural power. I really believe that we hold the power to change our thoughts and to change our feelings
Mm.
consciously. We have to come conscious of that. And we have to comprehend that this is how we're feeling and this is how I want to feel. And I'm going to change this thought. I'm not going to allow this thought to hurt me no more. We can actually detach from these thoughts. We can allow them to leave us. As soon as they come and teach us something, we can allow them to go. They don't have to keep staying with us and hindering our spirit. So
Absolutely, I totally agree that, the great news about bringing awareness to the words we use and speaking to ourselves in our own heads is that we have control over that. We created those words initially. We can change those words. We can tell ourselves something better. And when we have awareness that negative narrative is going on, we can say, whoa, 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 I don't think about myself like that anymore. I do better now.
right.
I'm a beautiful being and I am capable and I am lovable and all of that, and really move forward with that energy about us. So beautiful. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course. I think that's right with the transmute, to be able to transmute these feelings and
Mm,
kind of make alchemy. So kind of take something that's hurtful
mm,
and maybe go work out or maybe go run or maybe eat some good food or tell yourself you're loved, you know what I mean? And those will help you change that thought process.
Perfect. Beautiful. I love that. Thank you for sharing how you did that yourself. I love the demonstration that you're providing for us. We need to break for another commercial. We're just going to return and have some final thoughts and hear some recommendations from you, if that's all right.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
Welcome back to Talks with Tracy, with me, Tracy Claremont. I've had a beautiful visit with Cody Weaving today. He's been sharing his experience in healing from the male perspective, and it's so appreciated. I love the vulnerability that you're
Awesome.
showing and all that you're doing. So thank you so much for that. Cody, do you have any kind of recommendations for people who are wanting to, or maybe at that point where something needs to change and they're trying to figure out how to really get into things, maybe men in particular?
Totally. I think for sure the foundation is to eat some really good whole foods to really detox and cleanse your body so you can kind of have this spirit connection back. I think it gets severed throughout these whole, you know what I mean, these trauma and drama that's happened to us in our lives, these hurts and pains. I think it takes us a little bit of that food to kind of break that cycle. And maybe some of these herbs, make sure you get some herbs in there. I'm really big on dandelion root and burdock root. I drink those every single day. So those are a huge part of my regimen. I think any type of body movement, any type of meditation.
Mm. Oh, darn it. We froze up a little bit again. All right. Looks like we dropped it again. He's talking about food connections, herb connections, and I really think he's talking about detox, right? Detoxing our body so that we can get to a place of cleansing our mind and our emotions too. Cody, I was just saying, we detox our body, which then allows us to have a clearer mind to be able to do that piece of it as well.
Yeah, I think that just really some deep breathing, just conscious breathing, really focus on that. I think meditation definitely helps. Some type of body movement, if you're doing into maybe stretching in the morning, get some liquid in you, some definitely hydration. That's where I use my dandelion root and my burdock every day. Start out with a fruit smoothie.
Mhm.
I mean, any type of hot yoga or yoga movements really have helped me. Any gym, I mean, if you're into gym, I do cold water immersion groups. Cold water immersion will help break any stagnant energy and release that from you. Make sure us as people, we're using medicine. Make sure you're using your herbs, to not only eat and drink with, but to use smudging with. Like get that medicine out in the air and really
Mm.
feel the healing that comes with that. You know what I mean? So I think it's super.
Absolutely. And whatever way you're comfortable with, whatever
Of
way works for
course.
you, like you were saying.
Yeah, everyone's different. So some of these things will resonate with people, and they can take whatever they feel is going to help them, and then whatever else, it's no big deal. We can just allow it to be free.
Absolutely. Do it in our own way and do
Yes.
it with confidence. Don't, a way of not worrying about being judged. Whatever feels right for you, go with it. So now, Cody, I know that you also use prayer, right?
I do.
In your life. And
I,
I really appreciate everything you've been sharing and all that we've been doing here today. And I know that you were wanting to close out your appearance today here on Talks with Tracy with a prayer. So I am totally on board with that, totally willing and excited about you sharing a prayer with us. And I do want to say that I apologize for not standing for the prayer. In our culture, I know that we always stand for a prayer, but I'm kind of connected to different things and it's hard for me to stand. So I'll apologize for that ahead of time, but please do. Yes, bring on the prayer.
Perfect. Well, you guys, I'm Wapisk Pascual Mostis. I'm the white buffalo from Cree Nation. I have a friend with me. This is Taj Chellen. His Indian name is Piwapis Nepu. He is Iron Man. So together we are the Iron White Buffalo. So we are praying today for the protection, direction, and strength in the full circle, first and foremost with ourselves, so we can have the strength for others. Let us detach from any emotions, any stagnant energy that's keeping us from healing and becoming a strong, better being within ourselves so we can spread this emotion and love out there in this world. Let us know that we're here together as one. Each and every one of us are unit. We're tied in together. We're interconnected. You are me and I am you. No one above, no one below. We are all equal in the full circle. I want to express my thankfulness and gratefulness to this journey, this life journey, and I want everyone to know that we have good emotions here, good feelings that are just sent out in this world, this earth. I want to send some healing manifestations to the women, to the children, to the elders, to ourselves, to all Mother Earth, to all the water, the wind, to the ground we walk on. I want everyone to feel this love. Know that I'm sending this out here. This white buffalo is in front of you. This Iron Man is in front of you. Know that you're on your healing path and journey. I support you. I see you. I hear you. I feel you. I stand for all people here. I want us to know how much I love you guys. I respect you guys, and I cherish everything you're doing for the change that is needed today. Taj, would you like to say any prayer? Hey y'all, hey y'all. Isak, Ethan, I love you guys. Thank you.
Wow, that was beautiful. That was amazing. Thank you so much for that. It brought tears to my eyes. I'm still a
We
little
love you,
emotional.
Tracy. Thank you for everything that you
Thank
do.
you.
You're doing such good
Yeah.
work and sacred work, and we really appreciate you. We're grateful for you. Thank you.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Cody. It's been such a blessing to have you here today. Is there anything you want to say about how people might like follow you on social media or see some of those amazing posts that you do, and if they're interested?
I do. I go off my name, Wapisk Pascual Mostis, so it's kind of hard to look up, but if you just start putting in the WAP, it'll pop up there. So it's WA.
WAP, the WAP.
Yeah, I can put it in the link. I'll put it in the link for sure. Because
Okay. Awesome.
did I freeze up again?
No, you're there. So thank you for that. You're going to put it in the link so that people can see your amazing posts.
No,
And
I'll
you
ask
are,
you guys to maybe put it in the link for me, or I can spell that for you
oh,
guys too. How's that? We'll just do
sure. Oh, darn
WAPISKI
it. Well, we'll have to put it in there somehow. So, but thank you. You're always welcome back.
Thank
I'd
you.
love to have you back on at any point. So thank you so much, Cody, for being here.
Thank you
So,
very much. Appreciate that.
yes, absolutely. Um, yeah, we will. It says send us the link at some point before we release, and we'll put it up. That's from the engineer.
Perfect.
So,
Thank you guys. I
yep.
really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. So, yeah, you've been watching Talks with Tracy. Thank you so much for that closing. I absolutely love it, Cody. And thank you so much for being here. Next week, I will be having another guest on, and that is going to be this beautiful woman by the name of Lisa Bergerman. She has an amazing story, and she is a true example of resilience. And her story is truly inspirational. I can't wait to have her on. So you've been watching Talks with Tracy with me, Tracy Claremont, coming to you on the Bold Brave Television Network. I will see you all next week.
This has been Talks with Tracy. Join us each week as Tracy and her guests will come together and realize that underneath it all, we are all the same and never alone. So join us each week and let Talks with Tracy be your safe place to land in your healing journey. Right here, Thursdays, 11 a.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.